Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to dive into my Octopus Teacher.
Okay.
And, even if you haven't seen this film,
Right.
don't worry, we're going to give you all the context you need. But
Good.
basically, this documentary, it's set in the kelp forests of South Africa.
Yeah.
And it chronicles this unlikely bond between a filmmaker,
Mm-hmm.
Craig Foster, and a wild octopus.
Okay.
And you know what makes this film so compelling?
Mm-hmm.
I think it goes beyond just a heartwarming animal story.
Right.
We're going to explore the incredible intelligence and problem-solving abilities of octopuses,
Yes.
the emotional depth of this interspecies friendship,
Yeah.
and ultimately what this film reveals about our own connection to nature.
Yeah.
So the film starts with Craig Foster, and he's a filmmaker battling burnout,
Mm-hmm.
and he's seeking solace in the ocean.
Right.
And he begins freediving daily in the frigid waters near Cape Town.
Okay.
And during one such dive, he encounters an octopus that's cleverly concealed beneath a rock. Now, many divers might have just observed and moved on,
Sure.
but something about this octopus drew Craig back day after day.
Yeah.
Why do you think this encounter was so special?
Well, I think what's fascinating here is this wasn't like a planned scientific study.
Yeah.
Foster wasn't out there to document octopus behavior. It was really a personal journey.
Right.
Driven by this intuitive pull toward this creature. And I think it suggests that something about the octopus's behavior, maybe her curiosity or maybe a sense that she was initiating contact,
Yeah.
sparked a connection with Foster that resonated with him on a deeper level.
It's like he sensed there was a story there,
Yes,
waiting to be told. And instead of just observing, he decided to become a part of it.
exactly. And that takes us into some really interesting territory
Yeah.
in terms of interspecies interaction.
Right.
While you often see animals forming bonds with humans in captivity,
Mhm.
to have a relationship as complex and sustained as the one in the film is incredibly rare in the wild.
Yeah, so tell me more about this bond. We see Craig going back to the same spot day after day.
Yeah,
How did he know the octopus was reciprocating this?
right.
Was she actively engaging with him, or was this just him watching her?
That's a good question. And the film beautifully portrays how this wasn't just Craig watching the octopus.
Okay.
She actively participated
Yeah.
in their interactions. One of the most striking examples is the tentacle touch.
Oh, yes. That moment when her tentacle reaches out and almost caresses Craig's hand.
Exactly.
It's so moving.
It is.
But from like a scientific perspective, what does that gesture suggest?
That's a question that continues to spark debate in the scientific community.
Right.
Octopuses have these incredibly complex nervous systems,
Right.
and they're capable of processing information in ways we're only beginning to understand.
Yeah.
I mean, while we can't definitively say that she was experiencing emotions like trust or affection in the same way we do,
Right.
the deliberate nature of that touch,
Yeah.
combined with her problem-solving behaviors, really suggests a level of intelligence and awareness that goes beyond just mere instinct.
It really makes you wonder what's going on in those cephalopod brains.
Absolutely.
Speaking of problem solving, one of the most memorable scenes is when the octopus uses shells
Yes.
to create like a suit of armor
Right.
to protect herself from a pajama shark.
It's amazing.
Can you tell us a bit more about tool use in the animal kingdom and what makes this so unique?
Absolutely. So while tool use has been observed in other animals,
Okay.
particularly primates and some birds,
Right.
what's so extraordinary about the octopus is that their intelligence isn't centralized in a brain like ours.
Right.
Their nervous system is distributed throughout their body, with each arm possessing a degree of independent control.
Wow.
So for her to gather and strategically arrange those shells as a shield,
Yeah.
it demonstrates this remarkable level of coordination and planning.
It's like each arm has a mind of its own.
It really is.
It's fascinating to think about how differently their intelligence might work compared to ours.
Exactly. And this brings us to cognitive flexibility,
Okay.
which is the ability to adapt your behavior to new and unexpected situations.
Right.
And the octopus in this film exhibits this remarkably, not just with the shell armor, but in the way she uses the kelp forest to her advantage while hunting.
Yeah, the way she camouflages herself against the kelp
Yeah.
and uses it to ambush her prey.
Yeah,
It's like she's playing hide and seek,
it is.
but with much higher stakes.
Exactly. And that hunting strategy highlights another key aspect of octopus intelligence.
Okay.
Their spatial awareness and ability to learn and remember the layout of their environment.
Okay.
They're not just reacting instinctively. They're actively using their knowledge of the terrain to outsmart their prey.
It makes you realize just how complex and dynamic the kelp forest ecosystem is,
Yeah.
and the role these intelligent creatures play within it.
It is, and this is what makes My Octopus Teacher so much more than just a heartwarming animal tale. It offers us a glimpse into this world that we rarely get to see, and it makes us reconsider what we think we know about intelligence and sentience in the animal kingdom.
It's a powerful reminder that we have so much to learn from these creatures who share our planet,
Absolutely.
and that sometimes the most profound lessons come from the most unexpected sources.
I agree.
Welcome back to our deep dive into My Octopus Teacher. We've been unpacking the amazing intelligence of octopuses.
Yes.
But as we go further into this story, the film reveals a depth that goes beyond fascinating facts.
Right.
It kind of delves into the emotional core of this unlikely friendship.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it touches on some profound truths about life loss and our connection to the natural world.
Right.
One of the things that really struck me was how the film highlights the power of observation.
Yeah.
Craig didn't go into this with a strict scientific agenda.
Right.
He immersed himself in the octopus's world
Hmm.
and just allowed himself to observe and learn from her behavior.
You're right to highlight that it was an approach born more from intuition and empathy than scientific rigor.
Right.
This allowed him to build a rapport with the octopus that maybe a more detached, purely scientific approach would have missed.
It's almost like he had to unlearn everything he thought he knew about observing nature
Yeah.
and approach it with a beginner's mind.
Exactly. By shedding those preconceived notions and allowing himself to simply be present with the octopus, he opened himself up to a whole new way of seeing and understanding.
And it wasn't just passive observation either, right? He was actively engaging with her,
Yes.
playing games, even experiencing a sense of playfulness.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah?
This wasn't just about documenting behavior from a distance.
Right.
There was a genuine reciprocity to it.
And that kind of brings up this question that I'm sure was on a lot of viewers' minds.
Sure.
To what extent can we really say she was experiencing emotions
Right.
in a way comparable to humans?
Yeah. That's a question that continues to be debated, and I don't think My Octopus Teacher claims to have all the answers.
Right.
But what it does do so effectively is present the evidence, the behaviors, the interactions, and then it allows the viewer to come to their own conclusions.
Okay.
It invites us to consider the possibility of consciousness and emotional depth in creatures that we might have previously dismissed as simple or primitive.
And it does it in a way that feels both scientifically grounded
Yes,
and emotionally resonant.
I agree.
Speaking of emotional depth, the film also explores this concept of resilience, both in the octopus and in Craig himself.
Absolutely.
We see her surviving this shark attack,
Right.
losing an arm, and then remarkably regenerating that lost limb.
Yeah.
It's a stunning display of physical resilience.
And from a biological perspective, it's truly awe-inspiring.
I know.
Imagine if your arm was severed and it grew back fully functional within a matter of months.
Yeah.
That's what these creatures can do.
It's amazing.
They have these specialized cells that can essentially revert back to a stem cell-like state
Wow.
and then differentiate to form the missing limb, including nerves, muscles,
Wow.
even suction cups.
It's like science fiction,
I know.
but it's happening right here on our planet.
It is.
And then, of course, there's the emotional resilience that Craig experiences
Yes.
through his connection with her.
Right.
He started out feeling burnt out and disconnected, seeking
Mhm.
solace in nature.
Yeah.
And then through this relationship, he finds this renewed sense of purpose
Right.
and this deeper connection to the natural world.
And that's a theme that really resonates with a lot of people today.
Yeah.
We live in a world that's so fast-paced and digital,
Right.
often disconnected from these natural rhythms of life.
So to see Craig finding this sense of peace and belonging through his connection with a wild creature in the ocean,
Yeah.
it speaks to this yearning that I think many of us feel, this desire to reconnect with nature and find that sense of grounding amidst the chaos.
Absolutely, and it challenges us to consider what our own octopus teacher might be.
That's such a powerful question.
Yeah.
What experiences could help us tap into that same sense of wonder and connection
Right.
and renewal?
Exactly.
And it highlights the importance of protecting these natural spaces,
Yes.
these wild places where these profound encounters can happen.
It's crucial.
Now, my octopus teacher isn't afraid to go to some of the darker places in life, too.
Right.
The inevitability of loss and this cycle of death and renewal in nature.
Yeah.
There's this really poignant scene
Yes.
where she's attacked by a shark
Right.
and loses an arm.
I remember that.
What was going through your mind when you first saw that?
Well, as a biologist, I was, of course, struck by the incredible regenerative abilities
Yeah.
of cephalopods.
Amazing.
To witness that arm being severed and then to see it gradually grow back,
Right.
fully functional, it's a testament to the power of evolution and adaptation.
But beyond the science, there's just this emotional rawness to that scene. You can't help but feel for her,
Yeah.
experiencing that pain and vulnerability.
And it forces us to confront our own discomfort with these natural processes, with the reality of life and death in the wild.
Yeah.
We want to sanitize nature
Yeah.
and see it through this lens of beauty and wonder.
Yeah.
But my octopus teacher doesn't shy away from the harsh realities.
It's a reminder that nature isn't always pretty
Right.
or predictable.
Yeah,
It can be brutal and unforgiving.
it can.
And yet there's this profound beauty in that cycle of life and death.
Yeah.
This sense of interconnectedness that goes beyond our individual experiences.
Absolutely.
And this leads us to the film's culminating moment.
Yes.
The octopus laying her eggs
Right.
and ultimately sacrificing herself to ensure the next generation survives.
It's a powerful scene.
It's both heartbreaking and deeply moving.
It speaks to this incredible drive to perpetuate life
Yeah,
that exists in every living thing.
it does.
For her life's purpose culminates in this act of reproduction, and she willingly gives her all to ensure the success of her offspring.
It's a reminder that in nature, death isn't necessarily an end.
Right.
It's more like a transformation,
Yeah.
this continuation of life in a different form.
And that's a perspective that can offer us solace, even a sense of awe in the face of loss.
Yeah.
We see this cycle playing out all around us.
Right.
In the changing seasons, in the birth and death of stars,
Yeah.
in the very fabric of the universe.
Now, my octopus teacher doesn't just present these themes passively.
No.
It actively makes us think about our relationship with nature
Right.
and the choices we make.
Yeah.
What do you think the film's message is for those of us who might not have this opportunity to dive into a kelp forest
Right.
and form a bond with an octopus?
Yeah.
How can we apply these lessons to our own lives?
That's a great question. And I think at its core, the film is an invitation to
Right.
cultivate curiosity and connection with nature,
Mm.
no matter where we are or what our circumstances might be. You know, maybe it's as simple as taking a walk in a local park,
Yeah.
planting a garden,
Right.
or just noticing the birds outside your window.
It's about shifting our perspective
Yes.
away from this purely human-centered view of the world,
Exactly.
recognizing that we are part of something much larger and more interconnected than ourselves.
And once we start to develop that sense of connection,
Yeah.
it naturally leads to a desire to protect and preserve the natural world.
It makes sense.
We start to feel this sense of responsibility
Yeah.
for the well-being of the planet and all of its inhabitants.
So while we might not all befriend an octopus,
Right.
we can all try to live in a way that honors and respects the web of life.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive.
Yeah.
We've explored the remarkable intelligence of octopuses and the emotional depth of Craig Foster's connection with the octopus in My Octopus Teacher, and the poignant themes of resilience and his cycle of life. But
Right.
as we come to the end of our deep dive,
Yeah.
I keep coming back to this question, like, what can we, as viewers, as humans going about our daily lives, what can we take away from this?
Yeah, it's a beautiful film. It's moving.
Yeah.
But is there like a broader message here for us?
I think there are several powerful takeaways woven into this film,
Okay.
even for those of us who may never encounter an octopus in the wild.
Right.
So what comes to mind first?
Well, firstly, I believe that My Octopus Teacher is like a potent call to action for reconnecting with nature.
Okay.
We've talked about this a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's worth emphasizing.
Right.
Craig Foster's transformation didn't just happen. You know, it
Right.
was born from his willingness to immerse himself
Yeah.
in the natural world, to observe, to learn, and ultimately to allow himself to be changed by that experience.
It wasn't about grand gestures, was it, or exotic locations?
Right. It was about finding that connection in his own backyard, so to speak.
So what does that look like for someone who doesn't have a kelp forest?
I think it starts with just a shift in perspective.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that nature isn't something out there, you know, separate from our lives. It's about finding those points of connection
Yeah.
in our everyday routines, whether it's, you know, tending a garden,
Yeah.
taking a walk in a park,
Right.
or just stopping to appreciate a sunset.
It's about cultivating that sense of wonder and curiosity,
Yes.
even in just like the normal everyday moments.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's not about grand expeditions.
Right.
It's about bringing that mindfulness to our daily lives.
So what else stands out to you?
Well, another important message, I think, is the power of observation.
Okay.
Craig's approach, you know, he wasn't trying to control the octopus.
Mm-hmm.
It was about patient, respectful observation,
Mm-hmm.
learning to see the world through her eyes,
Yeah.
to understand her behavior, her motivations, and ultimately her intelligence.
He had to let go of his own ideas and just be present.
Exactly. It was about shedding those assumptions,
Yeah.
and approaching her as an individual
Right.
with her own way of being in the world.
And through that observation,
Yeah.
I mean, not only did he learn about her,
Yeah,
but he learned about himself.
absolutely.
He found healing and connection,
Right.
this renewed sense of purpose.
And I think that's something we can all relate to.
Yeah.
When we take the time to really observe nature,
Mm-hmm.
we find ourselves reflecting on our own lives,
Right.
our values, and our place in, the big picture.
It's almost like nature's holding up this mirror
Yeah.
to our own souls,
I love that.
helping us see ourselves more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so lastly,
Lastly, I think my octopus teacher is like a powerful reminder of our interconnectedness with all living things.
okay,
Craig's relationship with the octopus, it wasn't just a nice story. It was
Mhm.
really a demonstration of the bonds
yeah,
that can exist between humans and nature.
it really challenged how we define relationship.
It did.
It wasn't based on, words or shared experiences
No.
in the human sense, but clearly there was a connection.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It expands our understanding of communication and connection.
Yeah.
And it shows us that these bonds can go beyond species
Mm-hmm.
and touch us on a deep emotional level.
So what are we supposed to do with all this?
Right.
How do we take these, beautiful but abstract ideas
Yeah.
and translate them into action?
I think it starts with a simple question.
Okay.
What small act of connection with nature can you make today?
I love that.
It doesn't have to be something big or heroic.
Yeah.
Maybe it's taking a walk, noticing the birds singing,
Mm-hmm.
or planting a tree.
It's about taking those lessons of observation, connection,
Right.
respect for nature,
Yeah.
and putting them into our daily lives.
Exactly. And remember, even small actions can have a huge impact.
Yeah.
Just like Craig Foster's journey inspired millions.
Right.
Our individual choices can inspire those around us
Yeah.
to make better decisions.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into My Octopus Teacher,
Yes.
let's leave our listeners with a challenge.
I like it.
What will your active connection with nature be today?
That's a good one.
Thank you for joining us on this journey
It's been a pleasure.
into the world of My Octopus Teacher. We hope this deep dive has inspired you to look at nature with new eyes,
Absolutely.
with wonder, curiosity, and a deeper appreciation for all the life on our planet.
I agree.